Hi, welcome to another episode of Look Ma No Hands. My name is Linda, and in this special edition episode, I will be recapping my experience at the Enhancing Skills for Life workshop conference that was held in Houston, Texas during October 2025. Enhancing Skills for Life is an organization that supports individuals who do not have arms or possibly even both of their lower extremities or one of their lower extremities, but qualifications for accessing this particular organization is that you don't have your arms. So I was approached back in the spring by the organization with an invitation to kind of become part of the community there and become part of the family, so to speak. And I was very touched by the invitation. It's an organization that, as I've been learning more about them, really feels like home for me. So I was glad to be connected with them. As the relationship is progressing, they asked me if I would present a crochet workshop at the conference, and it's been a while since I've done any kind of presentations at any kind of workshops, but I was confident that I would be able to do it just because having been a teacher and presenting in spaces like that, it kind of felt like it made sense. So I was excited that they invited me to do so, and spent a good deal of time trying to figure out what kind of project I could present, ways that I would be able to modify the skills so that everyone could participate, knowing that not everyone at the conference was going to do things the way I do them, but I'll talk more about that later in this episode. I'm going to start out kind of chronicling it a little bit chronologically. Our adventure began on October 15th, Wednesday, with what I call travel day. So we made our way to the airport, flew down to Houston, and got to the hotel where the conference was being held, and just kind of spent the afternoon socializing, getting to know people, connecting with old friends, and making new friends. And that was probably the most exciting part of this experience, was getting into a new space and joining up with a new organization to continue to make connections with other people that are living the disability experience in the way that we do. So, as I said, not everybody at the conference is a congenital born with the limb difference kind of experience. So it was interesting to learn, everyone's stories and meet people that have come to disability at various stages of their life. One of the first people that I met was a young woman from Sweden. Her name is Diana. Hi. Just a wonderful person that has such a similar sentiment and approach to life as I do. So it was really refreshing to talk with her. She's, in her young adult life and had gone through trauma with her sepsis story and things like that. So it was just refreshing to be in a space with people that have that like fighter spirit that I feel is something that I take a good deal of pride in. And just meeting other people that have that same resilience and that same support system that help them kind of get through the challenges of life without arms. So it was a great start to the weekend, or to the week, I guess you could say. I consider it kind of a long weekend because it was, like I said, started on Wednesday and carried on through Sunday. So we just did some visiting and went out to eat and things like that, and it was a lot of fun just spending time getting to know new people. And then Thursday was the first official day of the conference for the people living with limb loss and limb difference. And on day one of the conference, there were presenters that had various perspectives on life with limb loss and limb difference. So as I said, not everyone came to the conference with the same story. Some people that were there were people that were born with this condition, and some people were people that came to the condition either through illness or injury. So it was great to see the spectrum and the gambit of everyone's experiences and the vast differences, but then also the good deal of similarities in the stories of, having to evaluate life situations and determine what's the best way to attack those situations to complete tasks that many people kind of take for granted. So it was just fun to hear other people talk about how they do things and see similarities in how I do things, but then also learning from them and finding out that there's basically more than one way to skin a cat, and picking up just new ways to do things. So that was fun and interesting. And then there was a segment, a panel discussion about outdoor skills, and there were several gentlemen that had videos and explanations for how they have returned to doing outdoor sports like hunting and fishing, and there was one gentleman showing how he chops wood and things like that. So it was just very interesting to see how they've adapted those skills that at one point they thought they had lost the ability to do them, and have discovered that they're still able to accomplish those tasks, even if it means having to modify their rifles or modify, the tools that they use for the activities that they want to continue with. So that was, even though it's not anything that I'm personally interested in, it was just fun to see tasks that people are able to adapt to. So yeah. And then there was an activity called speed friending that morning that was kind of like the concept of like speed dating, where you're in a room with people and kind of lined up at a table or however they organize it, and then you get like 3 minutes to chit chat with the person that's across from you. So that was a fun way to meet people and make those connections. So yeah, it was just a very exciting and fun start to the week. Then we had the lunch break and things like that, which, I mean, it's lunch, it's not anything too spectacular that day. Just, again, more visiting and socializing. And then after lunch were some breakout sessions where the groups were kind of divided down into experiences where they had people that were like quad amputees, people that were bilateral amputees, and then further dividing us into groups by gender as well. There were some families there with young children, so they had a special group for people with young children, and it's just very well organized, like having the groups divided up like that and allowing everyone to kind of speak to their experience and share ideas with other people that are similar to them. That was a very thoughtful way to divide up the groups. So that was fun, and again, just sharing various experiences and having a chance to kind of freely speak to our everyday life and find out that like we're not alone in that experience, I think was so important. Like, people take for granted having, community and having those opportunities to connect with others that experience life the way you do. I mean, if you think about anything when it comes to like hobbies and all that kind of stuff, like it's always fun to get in a room where people can talk with you about something that you're passionate about. So this was a nice time to sit down and share with people and, like I said, just connect. And then that evening, Thursday evening, it was quite exciting. There was a cornhole competition, and when we found out that there was going to be a cornhole competition, Tim was full game for participating. He signed us up to be on a team together, and it was fun, but we were not very successful in the competition. We were knocked out pretty early in the competition, but it was still a great time. Our first match was against my friend Jessica and her husband. Yeah, like I said, we weren't very successful. We had a few points in there here and there, but the competition was fierce. So the second one that we went through was again not very successful. Other than the fact of we had fun and we made new friends, and I mean that in and of itself is worth the price of admission. Like just making friends and making those connections is, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. That's just the best experiences, making all of the friends that we've made, and meeting new people, and hopefully continuing to build the community and build, you know, those connections. So it was exciting having new people to talk with, and, you know, maybe even at some point travel with, because that's something that I really am looking forward to doing more now as I'm getting older and having different responsibilities as a parent to an adult child. He was a lot of fun to go on vacation with this year, so I think we'll be doing a lot more of that, especially after the fun experience that we had with the Skills for Life conference. The next day, Friday, started with a yoga session, which yoga is something that I really enjoy doing, and being in this particular yoga session was really wonderful because the people conducting the class understand that, like, traditional yoga poses are not necessarily going to be things that people with amputations are going to be able to accomplish. So being in a space where I didn't have to think about how I was going to modify a pose for myself, did a lot more focusing on breathing and just kind of centering ourselves. It was a very relaxing and inclusive space. It just felt good to be in a space where we're all doing the same activity and nobody has to think on the fly for how we're going to participate. And not, like, yoga is supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be something that you can find your center and just, you know, get grounded. But if you're constantly having to think about, okay, they're doing that now, how do I do that? How do I do something that is going to accomplish the same exercise as that particular pose? So it was a good experience of just being able to relax into the space. And there was also some adaptive fitness, which I really enjoyed, like, being in that class as well, just seeing how there are different ways to accomplish the same kinds of exercises so that we can work all the muscle groups that we have, doing exercises that are things that oftentimes you need all your limbs. We were shown modifications for how to do those things. A lot of it is similar to things that I've learned exercising with Dare to Try. So again, I was comfortable in the space just because I've been around with various organizations that help people with disabilities stay active. So that was a fun little session that we had in there. And then from there, we moved on that day to work on kitchen skills, which was a lot of fun. Again, they divided the groups into spaces where people with similar limb differences were grouped together. So I went obviously directly to the station that had for the bilateral upper extremities, and they had a table kind of set up to be flat to the ground instead of having the table at table height. So the people coming into the space could either bring a chair up to it to sit at a chair, or they could sit on the floor at the table. And being that the kitchen space is a place that I'm fairly comfortable in because my parents allowed us to work in the kitchen together from a young age. When I was in school, we still had home economics class, so I worked in the kitchen at school and did things like that. So I'm not shy when it comes to working in the kitchen. And there were people of all ages, so there were some teenagers, some school-age kids. So in that particular session and space, I was participating more in the like mentor kind of role, and spent some time facilitating with some of the younger participants, and that was a lot of fun. Again, putting my teacher hat on and just taking some time to guide the kids in different ways to use certain tools and build their confidence in the skills that they would need in the kitchen. And it was like going home. It just felt so good to be spending time with the young people and working on those skills and watching them have those aha moments of like, oh, I can do this, and that's a lot of fun. And yeah, it was just, it felt like old hat, just doing all the teaching kind of things was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then for lunch that day, being that everybody was getting a little bit more familiar with one another, we all sat together at a table where it was all the people that were born without arms. So it was my friend Jessica and Anya, Ane, young Sophie, Kayla, a bunch of us just kind of getting, Caesar and Tim and myself just kind of getting together at the table and having that experience. Did I forget? Oh, and Elena, who is sitting right next to me, duh. So we got a bunch of those people together. When Rick, my husband, came in for lunch, prepared to sit down with us, we jokingly teased him, saying that he was not welcome at that table. So he found some of our new friends to sit with, so he sat at a different table from us, and it was just kind of fun. It kind of felt like junior high or high school cafeteria type stuff. Like we were like the cool kids. Like, I don't know. It was just an enjoyable experience to be able to sit at a table where like you don't have to feel awkward, and just everybody was the same, and we all lived that same experience. And could you pass the salt? I need more butter. And nobody looked at you cross-eyed because you picked it up with your feet and passed it along the way. So yeah, it's sometimes hard to think about like that awkwardness of being the only one in the room. So having that experience where there was a whole table of people that get it was pretty special. It was kind of one of those things where like you don't think about how isolating it is until you have that experience where everybody's together and we're all the same. So that was fun. Tim that afternoon had some time to go check the exhibitors hall, and he came across a table that had a team of engineers and entrepreneurs that were demonstrating their mind-controlled prosthetic hands. So he was kind of geeking out about that, like the advancements in technology, and that maybe at some point in the not too distant future there may be prosthetics that are controlled through like neural pathways that will be more accessible for someone who is born like we are, where there's not, a way to attach a prosthetic device. If you have a residual limb, it's a little bit easier, but for us it's complicated. So yeah, it was just exciting to see the technologies that are being developed, and it was pretty cool. And then we had dinner with friends that evening. We went out with Jessica and her husband Patrick, and dinner was delicious. Uh, just kind of chilling out, talking about, different things that we've done in the past and experiences, sharing stories. It was a lot of fun. So that was cool. And then that evening was karaoke night. And unfortunately, I won't be able to share any of the video footage because, copyright laws and all of that. But Tim and I were there from the first song to pretty much shutting the place down, singing karaoke. Tim performed a few different songs. Eye of the Tiger, I think, was one of them, which is like his go-to song. And Life is a Highway, which again, because it's featured in one of the Cars movies, he really enjoys that song. So yeah, he did those two songs. And then I did Jack and Diane, Spice Girls, Spice Up Your Life. What other songs did I do? I did The Little Mermaid, Part of Your World, Sweet Caroline. So yeah, we had tons of fun, and that was just something that I don't do very often because I'm always worried that I'm going to be really bad at it. But in this space, I knew that even if I was really bad at it, everybody would be supportive and kind, and I was right. So it was a lot of fun, and it was great to encourage some of the younger kids that, teenagers that are always very self-conscious. I was like, come on, it'll be fun. Just do it. You don't necessarily get a chance to do things like this all the time, and this is a safe space, so cut loose and have a good time. Live your best life. So we did all of that. We lived our best lives. We had a good time. The next day, Saturday, started a little bumpy because I was getting ready to check on our flight status, and when I did that, I found out that we did not have a return flight home. It somehow had gotten canceled. We did not get booked on the rescheduled flight. Our tickets were refunded. And so I went into full panic mode because thinking of how, oh my goodness, it's going to cost so much to get last minute plane tickets home. Yeah, I kind of freaked out a little bit, but I talked myself down, stayed calm, reached out to the airline to find out what was going on. They explained everything. It was a little bit my fault, a little bit their fault. Got back on Expedia and found a reasonably priced return flight home, which unfortunately had a layover halfway through the route home, which I really dislike having to do layovers, but it was either that or pay $500 per ticket to get home. So what would have been a 3-hour flight turned into a 6-hour flight with a 1-hour layover. And my original flight was booked for like 9 in the morning, and the rebooked flight wasn't until 5 p.m., which got us home quite late. I hate getting home late. I much prefer getting back to the house at a reasonable time so I can go out and grab a gallon of milk or whatever kind of stuff that I need to do. Thankfully, my mom came in with the clutch. Like, she helped out when she found out that we were going to be severely delayed with getting home, ran out to the store, got the gallon of milk, got some cream cheese for bagels for the morning, and yeah, she was my lifesaver as usual. But anyways, Saturday, the panel discussion, which was very helpful, especially considering the little glitch that happened with the flight being canceled. The panel discussion was called Pack and Go Travel Tips, and I was very excited about this particular panel discussion because traveling is something that I really enjoy doing, but it's complicated when I go traveling. I've only once gone on a trip without someone else with me that can help carry baggage and go through security and all of that kind of stuff that, again, many people take for granted. You just do it and don't think too much about it. There's a lot of difficult things for me traveling by myself. So I don't do it often. And then even when I travel with other people, I have to be mindful of how much I pack and things like that. And that was one of the great things that was discussed in this panel discussion is, yeah, we have to think about those things extra hard, more so than the average person, because when you don't have hands to manage your luggage, you have to be mindful of how much luggage you're taking. So it was kind of refreshing to know that I'm not the only one that thinks about how much of stuff you're packing. I typically try to pack like 1 or 2 extra items to kind of extend my wardrobe. I try and pack like mix and match things that, you know, the outfit could be different depending on how you combine the pieces. So that was one of the tips. And then thinking about like the different styles of luggage that we can carry, and seeing people using like purse straps attached to their luggage to help move their luggage through the airport. The idea of checking your bags when you get to the airport. Lots of different tips that I didn't even realize were things that were available. So, I mean, like logically, I guess it made sense. And I've seen it like kind of in passing and didn't really think anything of it. But now, being that it was brought to my attention, I will be doing more of like the curbside check-in and things like that, because then it means not having to drag the bags into the airport, which makes life so much easier. There was mention of TSA Cares, which is something that I found out about, probably about 10 years ago. And every time I've traveled through the airport, I use the TSA Cares service because it makes it so much less stressful. TSA Cares service is something that if you are a person with a disability, you contact the TSA ahead of your planned flight. You pass them along the information of your flight number and all of that kind of stuff, what airport you're going through, and they will provide you with information that when you get to the airport, you contact TSA management office, and a manager comes out and helps you navigate your way through the security process. And it just makes it so much easier. This particular time of traveling, I had the experience of having to be patted down because somehow my shoes set off the detector saying that I had explosives on my shoes, which boggled my mind because they were just my everyday go-to sneakers that I wear to the gym all the time. I wear them everywhere. They're lightweight Skechers sneakers. There's nothing, super bulky about them. There really is no way that I would have been able to hide anything in them, but it is what it is. Set off the alarm, did the things, was on my way. Not a big deal. But thankfully, using the TSA Cares service, I hadn't stood in line and waited forever and then had that experience. Whatever happened with that, I'm not exactly sure. But I know there have been other people that I know that have had much worse experiences than that because of prosthetic devices or the fact that we can't hold the position to go through the body scan. Like, all of that stuff really complicates our experience traveling through, and I feel that disclosing ahead of time that we're going to need more time and that we're going to not be able to hold the position, things like that, it makes it easier when we travel. So that was something that was discussed in the panel discussion of travel tips, pack and go. Like, it was just really, really helpful and really useful for all of that to take place. So yeah. And then we had activities day. Oh, wait, I almost skipped resource roundup. Don't want to forget resource roundup because that was a panel discussion that Tim found to be very helpful. He was excited about the Canine Companions for Independence service dog organization. A service dog is something that we've thought about for Tim for quite a while. The only thing that we have to really consider is I can't have a dog in the house because I am highly allergic. So it's something that I've often spoken with Tim about, saying that like it's something to consider in his adult life when he's out living on his own, to get himself a service dog that will help him as he's out in the world. So now he has the information that he would need for an organization that could help him through that process. So he was excited for that, and I'm happy for him that he's, collecting information for himself that will be useful as he moves into the future. And I was happy to see Challenged Athletes Foundation featured during the resource roundup. I'm familiar with them a little bit because of like Dare to Try and Knowability and things like that. The Never Say Never Foundation, like all of the organizations that I'm already familiar with, have always talked about Challenge Athletes Foundation, and there was an athlete there that we connected with that is inviting us to join with him to do a triathlon. So that's something that we're considering for the future. It's a great fundraising opportunity for Challenge Athletes Foundation. So at some point in the not too distant future, we'll probably be doing a triathlon in San Diego. So again, more traveling. Like I said, I'm excited to be able to do more traveling, and now that we're not bound to the school schedule, things like that can continue to happen on a more regular basis. So now I'll jump into activities day. So for that afternoon, after lunch was activities day, where there were sessions for bike riding, adaptive fitness, a music room, and then the craft and create room, which was where I was. And I was very excited about that because that was a good portion of why I was attending this conference. I shared the room with another person that was doing some crafting activities, but my focus was doing the crochet lesson. And what I planned to do for the lesson was making friendship bracelets, crocheted friendship bracelets. I wanted to start out with a project that practiced basic skills like making a chain, and then the return pass of doing a simple stitch. So all I did was on the return pass had them doing slip stitch, and we made friendship bracelets. And of course, like I said, everybody coming into the story with, varying abilities and various combination of their limbs. There was a lot of improvising that took place during the session, and I was so excited to see everyone come in with such positive attitudes and ready to just, try and fail and rethink the process. And it was just the best kind of metaphor for life in this crafting space, being able to think about, like, when you approach an activity, sometimes you'll try something and it won't work out. That doesn't mean you give up. You keep going. You find another way. So that happened for several of the participants. One of the young people, who's a school-age child, hit a point of frustration, and me, with my teacher brain, was recognizing her frustration, and I didn't want her to walk away with that feeling of frustration. I didn't want her to walk away thinking I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. So we shifted our plan slightly and went from doing crochet to practicing how to braid 3 strands of yarn together. For several reasons, I had that kind of in my back pocket as a possibility, working with the children, or any participant really, of how can we make sure that everybody walks away with a sense of accomplishment and possibly a new skill. And so I kept a few ideas set aside for what we could do if the crochet part was more than they could handle. And not to pat myself on the back or anything, but it worked out really well. Practicing braiding, I presented it as something that she could do when she got home if she has dolls or toys that she wants to braid the hair on. Also presenting it as another way to make friendship bracelets. So that's what we did. And I received some photos and feedback from the mom that she was grateful for how patient I was. That's just like, I mean, years of training and just kind of my personality. That wasn't even anything special to the situation. And just presenting a modification that gave the child a sense of accomplishment and a sense of being fully engaged and fully participating in the activity. Ultimately, that was my goal, was to make sure that everybody walked into the space and felt seen and heard and accepted and was able to walk away with something that they had created. And every person that came in and gave it a shot was able to do that. And so I was very happy, and again, made lots of new friends in the space, and it was quite exciting. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to participate in more of the Skills for Life workshops doing something similar, and maybe even taking things to the next level with people that are returning participants. So I'll be thinking now for the next 3 years of more ways to adapt the workshop and do new things and more fun things. So yeah, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. And then that evening was the All-Star Bash. We had a lovely dinner again, and after dinner was an evening of partying and dancing, and it was just fun. Again, like I said, spending time with our new friends and being in a space where like everybody there just gets it. Like, I didn't have to feel awkward, even though I did feel a little awkward on the dance floor. There's something about dancing that I just, to this day, I still can't really get comfortable on the dance floor, but got out there for a little while, did some dancing, socialized with my new friends, got caught up with some of my old friends, and really enjoyed myself. It was probably one of the best weekends that I've had in a very long time. I always love going to conferences. I'm very much like an extrovert, love being out with people, so my cup is full. It did take me almost a full week to kind of recover from the experience, just emotionally and physically. That's why it's almost a week since I've been home and you're just now getting this video. I'm definitely going to be popping in some video clips, some photo montage, so that you guys can see all of the fun that I experienced with the Enhancing Skills for Life conference that I attended in Houston. And I'm fully looking forward to attending future conferences. So I hope you enjoyed this video recap of my Skills for Life experience, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye. Just kind of go like this.
Oh, okay. I got you now. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm Sarah. My daughter's on the very end.
Just make potato chips.
I know, right?
That's what it looks like.
I like crinkle cut, please. And you know what the cheapest thing in the world is? Knife sharpening. It is worth $5 or whatever they charge. Ace hardware store has knife sharpening. It's like, depending on how big they are.
So now do you want to try?
Yeah.
It's always fascinating. Yeah. So, like, does somebody crochet? Is it a thing? Or is it like, I've never done this, let's go?
A little bit of both. I like, you know, when my daughter gets a big basket, she'll just finish it and I put it in. Right.
I take the working yarn
With her,
bring
but
it
you're
usually
gonna
gonna
get more
bring that.
Are you gonna wear it?
And then the loop that's here.
Put it on your ankle.
fun mom and like sit here and
There's a lot there.
no one's a bother or hang out, you know. But it'd be fun to be like I would try to get her into like diamond painting because that's fun.
Not all the way though.
This is his scarf right here.
But this could be cool.
It's just gonna be one really long scarf that he can wrap around his neck 20 times.
I just don't know if I'm doing it right.
Such an effective scarf.
I don't know how to crochet,
I can knit.
I'll do the whole
I used to be able to knit, but
and then I'll work.
No, but you've got something on there.
there is something.
Yeah, you've got something.
It's like
Yep, survive coming along.
I'm not a crocheter either, so I really don't know.
Yours is way tighter than
I
mine.
got something.
It doesn't really matter because your loops are bigger. You just won't have to do as many.
I ask all the time
So I'm gonna walk the whole process.
It looks super cool.
It's prettier.
Like what? Got some really good.
Come over here and see it.
And then last part of it is taking the piece that you pulled through, and then you're gonna take the tail and the big part and both them together.
It looks so focused. Like everybody
Until you have like here and a loop at the top.
I am. I could go to Hobby Lobby and teach a class now on how to make one.
We don't have classes, but you could.
I could go to Michael's.
Yes.
And Michael's has classes.
Michael's has classes.
No, I just actually.
Yeah, but I don't work at Michael's and I do shit, so.
Hey, it started to tighten there for a second.
Yeah. It'll loosen up again, don't worry.
It'll loosen up again.
How everybody has their own way of doing it.
Yeah, right?
I'm just very interested and very, like,
This would have been hard without my
I
arms
see my
on.
mom do it every day. It's the same repetition.
But we would have been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lines here that you're like, how is this gonna work?
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I'm Elizabeth. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Same. That's my mom.
I'm from Chicago. Suburbs. About 12 miles due west of downtown.
Very cool. I love Chicago.
Which suburb are you?
Hillside?
Okay. How cute.
So when you think your chain is long enough to be a
I also have a letter opener and a cuff that I use.
I need to get cuffs.
How long is your
2 years. Or do you mean?
your length?
Oh, right here.
Here, I think I have an. Oh no, it's in my room. But I have an extra again that you use. All right. So who's Indiana playing today?
Michigan State.
What time?
2:30.
All right, Georgia. I'm a Georgia fan, so
Yeah.
Georgia Ole Miss is at 2:30 also.
Is it?
Yes.
What time is it now? It's 1:30. Okay.
I know.
You're in charge of bringing